Hello, welcome to Daily Current Affairs by Neo IAS. Today is 7th January 2019 and the topic we are going to deal is FDI in e-commerce, water hyacinth, whip, cyclone Pabuk and the color-coded weather warning, Mandal Dam, map-aided program and the previous year question revision series. So coming to the first topic, FDI in e-commerce. So before knowing what is in news, we have to know some basic concepts about FDI in e-commerce. So we'll study that first and then we'll go to why is it in news. So FDI, as you all know, FDI is an investment. It is made for a long-term interest. The investment made for a long-term interest in an outside country or in an outside country and enterprise. It's called as an FDI. So I am the host country, I am making an investment in some other country or in an enterprise in some other country for a long-term benefit, then it is called as an FDI. Okay, so a FDI in e-commerce, so how long it is viable is the concern. So in e-commerce, basically we have two models. Only if you know the model, you can tell about FDI in each model. So we have two models in FDI. One is inventory model and the other one is marketplace model. I'll tell you the difference. Inventor model means there is a business happening between the business e-commerce entity and the consumer directly. Means the consumer, the e-commerce industry has a huge amount of inventory and the consumer is taking or buying the inventory directly from the e-commerce entity. Okay, that is called as the inventor model. And the marketplace model means this inventory is staying as a facilitator or a mediator. Okay, some buyer is there and some seller is there. The buyer is the buyer is selling the product and seller is buying the product via the e-commerce entity. That kind of model is called as marketplace based model. Okay, so why I told you this, because FDI is not possible in inventory based model of e-commerce. That is because in inventory model, as I said, the e-commerce entity is directly dealing with the customer. Okay, they are directly selling their inventory to the customer. In that case, FDI is not possible. If the e-commerce entity is staying as a facilitator, as a mediator between the buyer and the seller, only then in that sector only the FDI can be placed. Okay, so FDI in e-commerce is absent in inventory model and is present in marketplace based model. Okay, also in marketplace model 100% FDI is possible through automatic method. You don't have to take any permission of the government in prior. You can directly, like in automatic route, you can invest the money. So this is how it works in e-commerce, FDI in e-commerce. Also we have two types of e-commerce happening. One is the business to customer type and business to business type. In business to business type, the price of the inventory may vary according to the customer. If you have a good customer who can place more order or who can give you more order frequently, the customer can be given some concession. So this can be done according to the customer. Okay, you don't have a fixed price. But in business to customer type, you have a fixed price. Whoever the customer, you don't have to care about it. Whoever the customer is, you are giving him for this particular price. So that is the difference between business to customer and business to business e-commerce. Okay, the business to business engagement only can give the foreign e-commerce, the other thing cannot be. Okay, and FDI is not permitted in inventory based model, it is only permitted in market based model. Okay, so now I'll tell you why is it in news. We have an FDI policy. So in FDI policy, in last few weeks, they have laid some certain principles, because in marketplace mode of model, what happens is that the e-commerce entity is mediating, is initiating a business between a buyer and a seller. So he can influence the business in a negative way. He can popularize a particular buyer or he can favor a particular customer. So if this thing happens, it deteriorate or temper the competition. So the new FDI policies have an emphasis on this point and they are creating some new norms like the cashback or services or quick delivery or some kind of transparency. So they are trying to create new norms. That is why it is in news. So in FDI in e-commerce, you have to consider about what FDI is and what all kind of models e-commerce have. We have two models, and in what model FDI is allowed and where it is not allowed, and what are all the e-commerce transaction happening, that is a B2B and B2C. These things you have to keep in mind. Okay, that's all you have to know about FDI in e-commerce. The next topic is water hyacinth. Water hyacinth is in news because it has become a very big invasive species in water bodies, and lately it has been invading a lake in Kochi, and similar news have been happening in previous months also. One was in Katraj lake in Pune, then one in Pichhola lake in Udaipur and Ulscoru lake in Bangalore has similar situations like this lake in Kochi. So basically water hyacinth, I have a pic of water hyacinth. This is a pic of water hyacinth. See how difficult it is to navigate in such a condition, because it covers the entire region. You can't even see a drop of water in that water body because of its invasion. Okay, so this water hyacinth is basically from Amazon, Brazil. It is a native plant of Brazil, and now it has become an invasive species, and there is not even one water body in the world without a patch of water hyacinth. That is how huge the invasion has become. So this is a very, very big problem, because even if you remove the water hyacinth entirely from a pond, it will again come as soon as possible. It will again start to colonize. That is a problem with water hyacinth. That is why it is a very huge threat to the wetland ecosystem. So it has some very huge negative impact, as well as like it affects the local aquatic biodiversity. It can obstruct the river flow, and it can interfere the water utilization, because basically wetland is used for irrigation and drinking water purpose. So if you have a large colony of water hyacinth in the water body, means you cannot take that water for drinking purpose. Okay, and you cannot see the water running also, because it becomes more or less stagnant. This is a result of eutrophication, because if more nutrients is present in the water, means more algal bloom will happen, more colonization of the invasive species of the water hyacinth may happen, and this can even lead to toxicity, creating a potential health risk as well. So that is how big the danger is. Okay, so these are the negative impacts of water hyacinth. Okay, moving to the next topic, it's from the polity. Whip. Okay, whip is in news because there is a floor test in Madhya Pradesh Assembly, and the Congress has sent the whip to the MLAs. Okay, so I'll tell you what whip is. So whip is a person appointed by party to make the party members obey or oblige to the party. Okay, this is a function of whip. It is appointed by the party. So we have three kind of whip: 1-line whip, 2-line whip, and 3-line whip. In 1-line whip, what he do is, if there is some floor test or election or voting is happening in the parliament or the legislature, the whip notifies the party members that some kind of voting is happening. That is how the first line whip act. They will just inform. The 2-line whip, he will inform the party members that voting is happening, and you should also be present there. So he has to make sure that they are informed as well as they are present there. That is a 2-line whip. Then we have 3-line whip. In 3-line whip, he has to inform the party members. He has to make sure they are present in the voting, and he has to make sure the members are voting to the person who the party says. So there are 3 functions. So he is called as a 3-line whip. In India, the 3-line whip is violated only if 1/3 of the party members are deciding to go against the whip. So 1/3 of the party members are deciding not to vote to the person who is suggested by the party or the whip, then it is okay. It is not coming under defection. Okay, if two or more person or a single person or an MP violates the party's whip, means he is expelled from the house under Anti-Defection Act. Okay, so if it is 1/3 of the members, there is no problem. And one more thing you have to keep in mind is that in Rajya Sabha election and in the presidential poll, in the Rajya Sabha polls and the presidential election, this whip has no role. He can't compel the MLAs to make them do whatever the party wants. Okay, so Rajya Sabha polls and presidential elections are exempted. Okay. Coming to the next topic, it is cyclone Pabuk and color-coded weather warning. So, cyclone Pabuk is the term Pabuk means it's a fish. Okay, it's a large freshwater fish found in Southeast Asian countries. So, this has been named after Laos. So, the Pabuk is a cyclonic storm, and it has been a threat to the Andaman and Nicobar Island recently. So, that is why it is in news. And the center has announced an orange alert in Andaman and Nicobar Island. So, it is approaching the archipelago. It has already made a landfall in Thailand. So, landfall means if a cyclone hits the land, it will make some rainfall there. So, that rainfall which is happening on the land is called as a landfall. So, it has already made landfall in Thailand and it is approaching the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So, government has made a orange alert in the archipelago. That is why it is in news. Okay, there are 4 major colors made by IMD in weather warning. So, I will explain each one of it. First is green. Green means all is well. You have nothing to worry. No advice is needed. Nothing. Sit at home. Yellow means be aware. There may be a threat in the coming weeks. You have to be alert. Okay, there may be a threat. So, if you want to travel to some other place or if you want to make an arrangement about it, you can do it because it's a yellow alert. Be aware. That's it. Amber means be prepared. So, anytime anything can happen, so be prepared. There is a extremely bad weather conditions, and if you plan to travel, don't. If you want to go somewhere, don't. Just stay at wherever you are, make some preparations for the coming weather. Okay. And the red alert means take action. Don't simply sit prepared. Whatever you have with you, do it with it. And if you want to move to the refugee camp, if you want to pack the bags and run, whatever you want, do it right now. That is the red alert. Okay. So, these are all the 4 alerts. The next topic is Mandal Dam. Mandal Dam is a dam basically built on North Koel River. North Koel River is a tributary of Sone River, which is again the tributary of the right bank tributary of Ganga. Okay, so this Mandal Dam is in news because Prime Minister recently visited Palamau district of Jharkhand, and he laid the stone foundation for North Koel project. Okay, I'll tell you a little background about this project. It started in 1972 and started constructing since then. Until 1993, it was working. It was continuing to construct. And then what happened is that there is 2 important protected area in Jharkhand. One is Palamau Tiger Reserve and one is Betla National Park. Okay, remember these names. Palamau Tiger Reserve and Betla National Park. So, if this dam, if this reservoir coming to being, then what happens is that a major portion of these 2 protected area will be submerged. Okay, that is the negative impact of this project. So, the forest department and the government of Bihar has stopped working on this construction. Okay, so again after these many years, we are again starting to build it because it can augment irrigation and the drinking water needs of the entire area. So, this dam basically is covers the 2 districts of Jharkhand, that is the Palamau and the Garhwa district of Jharkhand, and it is a very backward state. The tribal, it has mostly the tribal population. It's a very backward state. So, they are trying to bring some kind of development in those states. So, the Prime Minister has laid foundation to start the work again. That is why it's in news. Next is the map aided program. We have Kuril Islands. Kuril Island is in news because it was a disputed island between Japan and Russia. Now Japan and Russia has resolved the dispute. So the experts are saying that if Japan and Russia can resolve the issue, that means about the Kuril Islands, means India and Pakistan can also resolve the issue about Kashmir. So I'll tell you where Kuril is. Kuril is, I have a photo of Kuril. This is Kuril, and it is in the North Pacific Ocean. It starts from the south of Japan, and it extends to the south of Russia. Okay, so it extends from Hokkaido Island of Japan to Kamchatka at Russia. Okay, so this is why it is in news. Next is the previous year question revision series. We have a question about environment. So Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee is constituted under Food Safety and Standard Act of 2006, Geographical Indications of Good 1999, Environment Act of 1986 and Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So, if you want to attempt this question, first you have to know what is Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee is. It is an apex body under MOFCC, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It is an apex body of what? Apex body means they are responsible to carry out some very specific function under the ministry. Okay, they are the nodal agencies. So, they are responsible for the manufacture, use, import, export, storage, everything related to the hazardous microorganism or genetically engineered microorganisms or even the cells. Okay, whatever it is regarding to this category is being handled by Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, and it is under Ministry of Environment and Forest. So, if you know this thing, you can also come to the answer that it is under Environment Protection Act of 1986, as it can create a threat to the environment. So, I have a suggestion for you. If you read the newspaper and come across the nodal agencies or the institutions mentioned in the newspaper, please note it down and read the background and what it is responsible for and under which ministry it comes. Okay, this is very important. That is how you study institutions and organizations in news. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you all understood what I taught. So if you have any suggestions or any doubts or questions, please feel free to comment it on the comment section. Thank you so much.